President Bola Tinubu pledges end to incessant strike in Nigerian tertiary education sector. Federal government debunks rumor of ban on indigenous languages in Nigerian schools. Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission moves against unregistered digital money lenders. Abroad, Israel recovers body of last hostage in Gaza. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Delta Television News tonight. My name is Onome Yaroe. You can also follow us online on Facebook and YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. Now, details of the news. President Bola Tinubu has assured Nigerians that the era of perennial industrial strikes by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, is over, pledging lasting peace and stability in the nation's tertiary education sector. The president gave the assurance at the 56th convocation ceremony of the University of Lagos, UNILAG, where he was represented by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa. President Tinubu said his administration had demonstrated firm political will through sustained dialogue, mutual respect, and prompt fulfillment of agreements, leading to uninterrupted academic sessions across tertiary institutions. He disclosed that a new agreement recently signed between the federal government and ASU had decisively resolved a long-standing crisis that disrupted academic calendars and undermined confidence in the university system. The president highlighted reforms such as the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, and the Institutional Staff Support Fund, aimed at revitalizing the education sector and producing jobs-ready, innovative graduates. The federal government has clarified that indigenous languages have not been banned in Nigerian schools, stressing that their use as the main medium of instruction has been limited to better prepare students for national examinations conducted in English. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, made a clarification during an interview with newsmen following public reactions to recent policy adjustments. Dr. Alausa explained that while the use of mother tongue aids learning at early stages, Nigeria's multi-ethnic and multi-linguistic nature makes full deployment challenging. He said the policy was originally designed for instruction from primary 1 to primary 3, after which English should take over, noting that over-implementation in some regions negatively affected students' performance in national examinations, such as the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WAEC, and the National Examinations Council, NECO, and the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. The minister added that students would continue to study at least one indigenous language at primary, junior secondary school, and senior secondary levels, stressing that government remained proud of Nigeria's cultural heritage. He said the return of English as the main language of instruction was aimed at standardization, improving literacy and numeracy outcomes, and ensuring Nigerian students were globally competitive. A 3-week training program on procurement, social and environmental standards for civil servants with the theme Enhancing Public Service Impact Through Strategic Training began today in Asaba. The program is being organized by the World Bank, assisted by the Sustainable Procurement Environmental and Social Standards Enhancement SPECI project, and implemented by the University of Benin, Edo State, in collaboration with the Delta State government. Gloria Otolo reports.
The head of service, Dr. Minimim Oseji, who officially flagged off the program, commended Governor Sheriff Oboriwori and the Secretary to the state government for their continued support in the civil servants in the state, in line with the renewed hope for more agenda. Dr. Oseji said the service played a critical role in ensuring procurement processes met international standards, delivered value for money, and promoted transparency and accountability.
The Delta State government is committed to ensuring that all procurement processes are transparent, accountable, and sustainable. This program is designed to equip our civil servants with the knowledge and skills necessary to meet international standards in procurement, environmental, and social practices.
Earlier, the state coordinator of the SPESSE, Ms. Jessica Okediadi, expressed appreciation to the state government for its collaboration and commitment to capacity development, as well as organizing committee and stakeholders for the success of the program. She explained that the program was a flagship initiative of the federal government of Nigeria, supported by the World Bank, explaining the participants would undergo 3 weeks of intensive learning, facilitated by experienced professors and practitioners.
Today's event marks the formal commencement of a 3-week capacity building training program for civil and public servants in Delta State, carefully designed to strengthen competence and professionalism in procurement.
In his remark, the Permanent Secretary in the Directorate of Pensions, Establishment and Director of Training, Mr. Kingsley Olumokoro, thanked the head of service as well as resource person from the University of Benin, saying the program will strengthen accountability and support sustainable development across ministries.
This program is a testament to our state government's commitment to promoting transparency, accountability, and sustainability in procurement practices, because we recognize the critical role that procurement, environmental, and social standards play in achieving our developmental goals.
The Executive Assistant to the Governor on Social Work, Ms. Pali Egove, said the training targeted better environmental standards, noting that it would promote best practices in the public procurement. The procurement is expected to strengthen transparency, accountability, and value for money in public, across ministries, departments, and agencies in Delta State. I am Gloria Utolo reporting.
The Institute of Legal and Policy Strategy, ILPS, has admitted the Director General of the Delta State Bureau for Orientation and Communications, Dr. Fred Ogenesiwe, into its fellowship cadre, the highest membership category of the Institute. The Institute, in a letter signed by the Registrar, Professor Elizabeth Bature, said Dr. Ogenesiwe met the standards required for fellowship. Reacting, Dr. Ogenesiwe thanked the ILPS Governing Council for the honor, noting that sound knowledge of law and policy strategy strengthened communication and institutional democracy. He also commended Governor Sheriff Oboriwori for investing in human capital development. Dr. Ogenesiwe, with qualifications in law, political science, mass communication, and public administration, is a member of the Nigerian Bar Association Ikeja branch, among other professional bodies. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has begun enforcement actions against digital money lending operators who have failed to regularize their operation with the Commission. Against this development, citizens have called for tighter monitoring of their activities of digital money lending operators to prevent any form of abuse. Esther Oputa spoke with residents of the state capital and its environs.
Residents who spoke on the issue said the FCCPC was on the right track in ensuring proper checks on digital money lenders towards preventing activities of fraudsters and scammers online.
So we expect every running company to live by the set standard of the government.
Where I have problem with them is that some of them are not straightforward, and you don't know the way they manage the information you give to them. They can use it for things that are not really good, which may negatively affect you, the owner of that information.
No, not trust them. If I want to borrow money, I'll go to my bank and borrow money.
The people said there were laws guiding digital money lending, which the Commission was poised to ensure that the money lending operators upheld.
There are some persons you don't even have to give money to at all or exceed certain amounts. But because they want the loans to be taken, the money to be taken as loan, you will see them giving this money out without following regulations.
Others said the money lending operators were trying to evade tax payments, adding that the FCCPC wanted to uphold transparency in the operations.
Our people try to evade tax in establishments. So when you want to run a company, you must run it according to its policy.
Some respondents acknowledged that digital money lending operators were helping to meet the immediate needs of citizens, however, charging them to register with the Commission to avert the crackdown. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has begun enforcement action against digital money lending operators who have failed to regularize their operations with the Commission. This is meant to ensure the safety of both the borrower and the lender. As it said, without the regularization, abuse is inevitable. For Delta TV News, I am Esther Oputa.
Believers have been advised to hand over their burdens to God, who alone has the power to lift every form of hardship from those who trust in Him. The resident pastor of the Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministries, MFM Okwe branch, Pastor Christian Davis, gave the advice at the DBS Asaba weekly prayer meeting. Henry Unogwa reports.
In his message titled The Burden Bearer, Pastor Davis, who took his text from Matthew chapter 11 verses 28 to 30, noted that no individual was without challenges regardless of their status or position in life. He described burdens as responsibilities or situations that caused worry, stress, and sleepless nights, stressing that God remained the only true source of relief for those weighed down by life's pressures. The cleric listed ways believers could connect to God to include living a godly life, identifying personal burdens, praying continually, studying the Word of God, praising Him, sharing challenges with fellow believers, and showing love.
Who is this burden bearer? Is the God that provides solution to all problems. Now, that thing in your life that you feel that everybody, because of this problem, everybody has rejected you. Your life must be right with God. If you are still living in sin, if God cannot call you my son, my daughter, that burden will be there. So your life must be right with God.
The session featured intercessory prayers for the state and the broadcast station. Henry Onogwa reporting.
Over 100 senior secondary school students of Asaba origin have benefited from the maiden edition of the Tony Unda Foundation WAEC Scholarship Scheme. The beneficiaries were drawn from 12 public secondary schools across the community. Eunice Imeyasia reports.
Speaking at the event, which held at the Ogwuku Ahaba, the founder and chief executive officer of the foundation, Obueshi Tony Nda, represented by Mrs. Obiagelinda, said the initiative was aimed at easing the financial burden of WAEC enrollment on parents and encouraging students to focus on their education. He described the program as an investment in the future of Asaba youths, noting that supporting education remained the most effective way to build responsible leaders and mentors for the next generation.
It is a springboard for your dreams. Now go forth, study hard, and contribute meaningfully to your fields and your communities. Let's celebrate this success and the community that makes them possible. May you, Tony Unda Foundation, WAEC scholarship recipients, one day become the mentors and donors of the next generation.
The Asaba of Asaba, Obi Epiphany Azinge SAN, commended the foundation for the initiative, praising the donors' commitment to youth development and urging the beneficiaries to prepare diligently for the examinations and uphold Asaba values.
As we comment on it, there are people who ask, why are we here? We are here because we want to endorse the good work he's doing for us. Tony Nda single-handedly in building the museum of the palace ground. He's also trying to expend some substantial sum of money to build up the future of our children. We must support him. We must identify with him.
In an interview, the lead organizer, Mrs. Helen Dunku, said the scholarship would cover the beneficiaries' WAEC enrollment and disclosed plans for a follow-up university scholarship scheme. She added that each student will receive 45,000 naira for the 2025-2026 examinations.
Growing up, Tony Nda, who is in America now, doing well, is an illustrious son of Asaba. So he's passionate about education. Asaba people are known for educational prowess. So what he's trying to do is to catch them young.
Others who spoke commended the gesture and urged others to take a cue from the Tony Nda Foundation.
I want to encourage everybody here, support our land, support those who are doing a similar thing, and Asaba will be very great.
And we want more people to emulate what Tony Foundation is doing.
Beneficiaries expressed gratitude to the sponsor.
I feel very happy and grateful to Tony Nda for giving us this wonderful opportunity.
I want to thank them for their support, for giving us the opportunity for us to access our education, go further. I want to thank them for letting us know that we are special.
Highlights of the event included lectures on education and social vices, the presentation of prototype checks to the beneficiaries, and the cutting of the inaugural cake. Eunice Emeyazia reporting.
Residents of the state capital have raised serious concern over the location of gas plants, factories and filling stations within residential areas, warning that the situation posed a major safety risk. Our reporter Henry Usiayo spoke with some residents on the implications of gas plants and filling stations situated in residential areas.
Gas plant factories and filling stations are expected to be sited far from residential areas to reduce the risk of accidents and protect lives and property. However, in many parts of the country, these facilities are increasingly springing up close to homes, raising safety concerns among residents. According to some respondents, gas facilities built few meters away from houses, schools, and shops could expose families to the danger of fire outbreaks, explosions, and gas leaks.
People building a filling station, gas filling station around where people stay. I think that is very bad. You know, it's just a little thing can cause a fire outbreak, of which will damage numerous houses. And I think it's not proper to build a filling station behind where people stay.
So I think it's not that good for such. If you don't even, maybe you don't have people around you who can caution you and tell, you can just maybe out of ignorance and do things that are not necessary, and boom, it just cause problems. So I think it's safe for us to do those kind of business or those kind of structures where are not open, and also we as humans, we should be mindful of.
In event of any slight carelessness from either the staff or the management of that filling station, there is usually reason to suffer. You go in for it. For instance, most of these drivers like making calls while being in a filling station, and that's very wrong. So in event of any slight explosion from that filling station, it will literally affect all the buildings around.
Others reveal that they constantly lived in fear, especially at night, as the smell of gas was sometimes noticeable in the area, and expressed concern for the danger it posed to the health of children and the elderly. The people called on relevant government agencies and regulatory authorities to ensure that gas plants are located far from residential neighborhoods to prevent avoidable disasters.
Residents said gas plants are fuel stations located close to their homes are causing serious safety threats, and are calling on authorities to act fast in order to avert future occurrences that could lead to the loss of lives and properties. Henry Usiayo reporting.
Bank customers have expressed mixed reactions to the directive of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, mandating commercial banks and other financial institutions to respond to electronic fraud incidents within 30 minutes. The Apex Bank intensifies efforts to reduce losses in the digital payment system. A cross-section of residents of the state capital welcomed the move, describing it as long overdue. They spoke with Caroline Obini.
Some bank customers said delays in responding to fraud cases often allowed criminals to withdraw or transfer stolen funds before bank took action, while traders said quicker intervention could save customers from financial and emotional distress. Other respondents, however, expressed fear about the implementation of the directive, noting that banks often delayed responses despite existing policies.
Many things they used to enter somebody's account, but it's good if you call, they respond. It will be okay.
Someone lose a credit card and alert the banking institution, and that credit card cannot be recognized immediately, and another one reinstated.
It's not fair on the customers. You may have money there and the money is at risk of being taken from your account.
Some citizens questioned if banks had the technical capacity and trained personnel to monitor transactions round the clock, especially during weekends and public holidays, even as several others urged the CBN to go beyond issuing directives by closely monitoring compliance and imposing strict penalties on defaulting institutions.
Let them call them and lecture them more for their own. That's what I feel there are lack of lecture, something that.
According to the people, sanctions would compel banks to treat fraud alerts with urgency and seriousness. Others called for improved customer awareness, stressing that banks should educate customers on how to promptly report suspicious transactions through dedicated hotlines and digital platforms. They noted that quick reporting by customer is critical to achieving the 20 minutes response target.
Criminal act. If you lost your card and you call your bank account officer to block your this, immediately you should respond and know that it's risk on your own side.
Because one, these fraudsters, they are everywhere, trying to use all means possible to defraud people. So, but if the CBN are up their game, these fraudsters will stop these things.
Overall, members of the public agreed that while the directive was a positive step towards protecting customers, its success would depend on effective enforcement by the CBN and the commitment of financial institutions to prioritize consumer protection in Nigeria's rapidly expanding digital economy.
Some Deltans who spoke have said 30 minutes is quite a time for their accounts to be wiped by fraudsters, and therefore calling on the Central Bank of Nigeria to implement measures to ensure that their calls are looked into and addressed immediately. Caroline Ubini reporting.
The Verification Committee on the Screening of Political Appointees of the Delta State Government has released the list of appointees scheduled to appear for screening. This follows an earlier announcement made on Tuesday, January 20, 2026, by the Secretary to the State Government regarding the verification exercise approved by Governor Sheriff Oporewuri. In a statement signed by the Secretary of the Committee, Mr. Felix Irewi, the categories of political appointees to be screened in the first phase include executive assistants, senior special assistants, and special assistants. Also affected are aides to commissioners, special advisors, chairmen and members of commissions, boards, parastatals and agencies, as well as political appointees in the State House of Assembly, excluding domestic staff. The statement confirmed that the screening schedule, earlier announced by the Secretary to the State Government, remains unchanged. Affected appointees are expected to report for screening at the press center behind the chapel at the new Government House, Asaba, between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. on their scheduled dates. They are to come along with the original copy of their letters of appointment, their voters' cards, and a valid Delta State identity card. However, political appointees in the State House of Assembly are not required to appear on the stated dates, as their screening schedule will be communicated through the clerk of the House. The statement also noted that appointees on diaspora matters are exempted from the exercise. Further enquiries, the public is advised to contact GSM numbers 0903 743 7233 or 0803 778 5862. You're watching the Delta Television main news. Still to come, Israel recovers body of last hostage in Gaza. Details of this and other reports after this break. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to the Delta Television main news. The global scene is next as we join our World News Desk.
The Israeli military said it has retrieved the body of the last hostage in Gaza, paving the way for the next phase of US President Donald Trump's peace plan to get underway. It had been searching for Master Sergeant Ran Givli since the ceasefire with Hamas began in October. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called Givli's return an extraordinary achievement. The Israeli military began a new operation to find Givli yesterday. Earlier, Hamas armed wing said it had provided mediators with all the details and information about Givli's location. Netanyahu's office said Israel will reopen Gaza's key border crossing with Egypt once the operation to find and return Givli was complete. The retrieval of Givli adds fresh impetus to President Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza. Israel had resisted moving forward until Givli was found. Phase 2 is meant to involve the reconstruction and full demilitarization of Gaza, including the disarmament of Hamas and other Palestinian groups. France is on course to follow Australia in banning social media to younger teenagers as debate on the new law opens in the National Assembly. The law will block access for under 15-year-olds to networks such as Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok. President Emmanuel Macron has said he wants the ban in place by the start of the school year in September. The French move is part of a worldwide trend towards restricting social networks for children, triggered by growing evidence of the damage they can cause to mental health. Under the new test, the state media regulator will draw up a list of social media networks that are deemed harmful. These will be simply banned for under 15 years olds. A separate list of supposedly less harmed sites will be accessible, but only with explicit parental approval. The bill is believed to have a good chance of passing with pro-Macron parties, likely to be joined by the center-right Republicans, LRO, as well as the populist right-wing National Rally, RON.
And to sports. Shooting Stars have ended Bendel Insurance's 9-match unbeaten run with a hard-earned 1-0 victory at the Lekon Salami Stadium in Ibadan on match day 22 of the Nigeria Premier Football League, NPFL. Kama Adegoke scored the winning goal 19 minutes from time to secure maximum points for the Oluyole Warriors. In Mina, former champions Enyimba fell 2-0 to Niger Tornadoes at the Bako Katagora Stadium. After a goalless first half, Abdurrashid Shehoud Bai opened the scoring in the 66th minute before Rickson Mendos wrapped it up late on. At Umuahia, Abia Warriors suffered a shock 2-1 home defeat to Nasarawa United. Emeka Obioma gave the host the lead just before halftime. But second half goals from Habibu Alakija and Joe Frank Estefanos turned the game around for the visitors. Fans in Enugu witnessed a 6-goal thriller as Rangers International defeated Warri Wolves 4-2 at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium. Godwin Obaje and Chimobi Igwilo both scored twice for Rangers, while Israel Oladeji and Seth Mayi replied for Warri Wolves. In Maiduguri, El Kanemi Warriors edged Ikorodu City 1-0 with Mukhtar Ismail netting the winner in the final minutes of the match. Meanwhile, in Bauchi, Wiki Tourist recorded a comfortable 2-0 win over Kano Pillars. Tahir Abubakar opened the scoring before Clint Shak Longback sealed the victory. That's our news. Next is the thought for today. Nothing is permanent in this world, not even our troubles. To end Delta Television main news, a look at the highlights. President Bola Tinubu has assured Nigerians that the era of perennial industrial strikes by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, is over, pledging lasting peace and stability in the nation's tertiary education sector. The federal government has clarified that indigenous languages have not been banned in Nigerian schools, stressing that their use as the main medium of instruction has been limited to better prepare students for national examinations conducted in English. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has begun enforcement actions against digital money lending operators who have failed to regularize their operations with the Commission. And the Israeli military has said it has retrieved the body of the last hostage in Gaza, paving the way for the next phase of US President Donald Trump's peace plan to get underway. It had been searching for Master Sergeant Ran Grilly since the ceasefire with Hamas began in October last year. That ends Delta Television main news. You can also follow our news online on Facebook and YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. On behalf of the news editor and the production team, this is Onome Iyarowe thanking you for watching. Good night.